Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports, Tuesday, March 24th. 1-0 on the show yesterday. 2 days in a row, we hit a large underdog outright winner. It was the Indiana Pacers last night, so glad that I could give you guys that. The cover was pretty much never in doubt. It was a question of whether or not they were going to actually pull off the win. They did, so we got that. And we move on to today. We're going to have a couple NIT games. I got one play. It's in hockey. There's a huge hockey board today, and then there are a few NBA games as well. We'll see if my voice holds up. As I always say, my voice is like fucked right now. I cut my head shaving over here, whatever. Actually, last week when I did it, so that's just great. Anyway, let's get into it. NIT, we have the first game up is Wichita State and Tulsa. Very interesting because these teams have already played each other 3 times this year. They are in the same conference. Tulsa won the game at home first and kind of dominated the game, or winning almost the whole game. Wichita won the game at Wichita. Although if you're looking at that box score, yeah, Wichita did win like the statistical battle, but Tulsa was winning 83% of that game, and you could argue that maybe they shouldn't have been, but both regular season matches, Tulsa was winning like the whole game, and I mentioned that because I gave out Tulsa during the conference tournament as a play because Tulsa was coming off having already played a game, although it was a triple overtime game, but I think Tulsa actually did just run out of steam there, even though I liked it because Wichita hadn't played a game yet in the tournament at all, but Wichita got that win, so now this is kind of a double revenge-ish, like zigzag. I mean, both these teams are going to show up because they're trying to win the NIT, and these teams don't like each other. But with Wichita winning the last 2 games between these 2 teams, I kind of think Tulsa gets it done here, man. Tulsa's only laying 3.5 here, which is, I think it's too low, to be honest. I thought this line would be like 5, 6. Tulsa was, I believe, about 2 on a neutral when they played Wichita in the conference tournament, and then I think they were almost favored by that much on the road as well, which may be too much, but, I think we're definitely getting shortchanged on this line here. I think there's value on Tulsa. Wichita is the better defense. That is what you have to worry about here. I'm not going to recommend a play on this, but I do lean to Tulsa here for those reasons. Wichita is traveling, although they're staying in Oklahoma for this, so it's not bad for them really at all. Tulsa is staying at home, and they're 15-2 at home. Wichita, pretty good 8-4 on the road, though. But Tulsa, they've been very good in this venue. They won both games in this conference tournament already. They're coming off a game that they won, as they should have, against UNLV. Wichita just upset Oklahoma State on the road. So that was kind of a bigger deal for Wichita, getting to beat one of the big boys there. So, there is the argument that it could be a little bit of a letdown or something like that. But, yeah, I would lean to Tulsa here. The money is not really agreeing here. Tulsa down to 3.5. Money on Wichita for now. 62% of tickets, 69% of the cash on them. We'll see if the market starts kind of turning around. Tulsa did drop from, it opened at 4.5 for Tulsa, dropped to 3.5. Again, I thought it was going to be about 5, maybe even 6. So I think Ken Baum has this number at around 5 or so, maybe 4. So all things to keep in mind there. And then St. Joe's is still alive in this tournament at New Mexico. St. Joe's somehow went into Colorado State and into Cal and beat them both. I mean, I guess you got to give them credit for that. Close win in both games. Now they're going to New Mexico. New Mexico has had it pretty easy in the tournament so far. Beating, well, Sam Houston and George Washington, not bad teams, obviously, but easy wins over both of them. New Mexico hasn't really been tested yet. So St. Joe's has a little bit of an advantage in that way that they've been battle tested in this tournament, where New Mexico hasn't. But I kind of like New Mexico here, man. I think St. Joe's finally is going to run into the end here. 3 road games in a row, having to go back into elevation again, play in a very difficult venue to play in. New Mexico laying 10.5, 59% of tickets, 54% of the cash on St. Joe's. So it looks like St. Joe's is a little bit of a public underdog there, which you don't see too often. And I usually like to fade teams with that kind of market setup. So don't really have a strong opinion on it. Both those games on ESPN2. We'll see what happens, man. St. Joe's, I mean, they do play good defense, so there is that. But I haven't been sold on that team all year. So that's what I think about it. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. NHL. First game up, Toronto at my Boston Bruins. Bruins are going to be a pretty big favorite here. Toronto, not very good, but I think the spot is probably not terrible for Toronto here. Toronto's lost 3 games in a row. They just got killed by Ottawa, 5-2. They got 2 days off. I think it's a decent spot for them to kind of pick themselves up and try to get a win here. The Bruins have been really hard to beat at home, though. Bruins coming off a couple of wins in a row, satisfying wins. They beat Detroit in their last game on the road, 4-2. Nice win for the Bruins. Swayman has played 3 games in a row, so it might be Korpisalo in net this time for the Bruins because they do have to play Buffalo tomorrow. That's a pretty big game, man. So this game is sandwiched in between bigger games, Detroit and Buffalo. With Buffalo being tomorrow, likely Swayman is going to be the goalie for that game. That's a big game. On TNT, True TV, HBO Max, and NESN tomorrow as well. So, yeah, I would lean to Toronto in this game, man. Bruins are up to minus 190, 94% of tickets, 99% of the cash on them. I'd start looking towards Toronto, puck line, maybe something like that. That would be my opinion in that game. Carolina at Montreal, pretty good game here. Both teams having good seasons. Carolina just got a win over Pittsburgh again. They've won 3 games in a row now. Killed Pittsburgh in that last game. Now, I don't really think they're going to overlook Montreal, but a 5-1 win maybe has you feeling a little bit high on yourselves. Montreal coming into this game off a satisfying win as well, beating the Islanders 7-3 on Saturday and staying at home here. Both teams, you could argue, are kind of in those spots where they're, plump and gay, as we say on the show here. It looks like the money is indicating on Montreal. Carolina's a minus 132 favorite right now. 88% of the tickets, 81% of the cash. So Carolina looking like a public side, not that heavy of a favorite with less of the money on them. So the market read is saying Montreal in that game. I don't really have a reason to disagree with that, so those are the thoughts on that one. Ottawa at Detroit. Ottawa played yesterday. I think they might be the only team on a back-to-back here because the Rangers, I think, have the day off. Of course, Ottawa won at Madison Square Garden yesterday because what else is new? The Rangers can't win at home. The Rangers, by the way, set like a historic low with 9 shots on goal in the entire game. How bad is that? It's unbelievable how bad the Rangers are at home. They won 62% of the face-offs, too. It makes no sense how you could win that many of the face-offs and only get 9 shots on goal. I don't get it. It's almost like they're trying to not take shots. Ottawa got the win there, 3 wins in a row. They're not going to overlook Detroit, but they are on a back-to-back, playing a third game in 4 days. And actually, it's worse because they're actually playing a 5th game in 7 days, I think is what this is. 2 back-to-backs in that span, so that's pretty difficult, man. That's a rare scenario, having to play that many games in quick succession like that. Detroit comes into this off the loss to the Bruins. They've had multiple days off. They're staying at home. So Detroit does have a huge rest edge here that will be built into the line, but I think you got to lean to Detroit in this game. The money is saying Ottawa, which makes no sense to me. Detroit is up to minus 120. Still not that bad of a price, to be honest. 75% of tickets on Detroit, 54% of the cash on Ottawa. I do not agree with that. That game would be Detroit or pass for me in that one. I don't see how Ottawa's taking all that money in that type of spot that they're in there. I don't get it. The next game up is my one play of the day, so let's do it. We're going to take Seattle on the money line. Plus 115 is around where it is against Florida. You'll get them as a little bit of an underdog here. Seattle's on a 3-game losing streak, so I'm looking for them to bounce back here. They've had some bad games here. One of them was a loss to Tampa. We know Tampa's good. Then they started a road trip, lost to Nashville and Columbus. They've had 2 days off. They're going from Columbus to Florida. Not horrible, I don't think. And it's, I think having those days off, I think maybe could help them refresh a little bit. A 5-2 loss is pretty ugly to Columbus. I think they're going to get up for this game against Florida. I guess one concern is they did just beat Florida at home 6-2, so Florida might actually pay attention to them for that reason. But as I'm going to show you in a minute, other than that, I think Florida is in a bad spot, man. Florida was the last time Seattle won, by the way, in Seattle. But if you look at Florida here, the reason we're fading them, you know what I'm about to say. They're returning from a road trip here. They've been on the road for over a week. It started with that Seattle loss. They did get a win over Edmonton during the road trip. It was not a successful road trip. They went 1-3 on the road trip, but it took them all the way to the Pacific Northwest. So for a team like Florida, that's like the furthest you're going to go geographically is all the way up to Vancouver. So they're returning home from all that. They've been away for more than a week. Yes, I know they're coming off a bad loss to Calgary, which was a win that I gave out here on the show. I know they've had 3 days off, so a lot of times, you'll think that, they're going to be rested now, they're going to bounce back because they're at home, but I see it completely differently. I think when you've been away for that long, you got to get back to home life, you got stuff to do, and it could distract you and take your mind off the game itself. So I think it's a bad spot. You got to overcome that travel, the time zone differences, although, yeah, having a couple of days off will help with the time zone stuff, but I still don't like it, and they got Minnesota on deck on an ESPN game on Thursday. So, yeah, so I don't like it at all. Could be a look ahead there. I like Seattle. That is what we're going to go with. The money seems to agree with Florida dropping from minus 145 to minus 130 here. 71% of the tickets on them, 55% of the cash on the Kraken. So the money coming in at Seattle, that's what we're going to go with. That's my only play of the day. All right, Chicago at the Islanders. Chicago just lost in a close game against Nashville. Again, one of their rivals they have. It was an overtime game. They're going out on the road, though, so, maybe they will still focus, get out of home, go on the road, focus on hockey. They're playing a decent Islanders team here, so probably they will still get up for this game. The Islanders just beat Columbus at home in a return home spot, beat them 1-0, staying at home, but they do have Dallas on deck on Thursday and then Florida, so it's possible they're looking ahead to those games. I'm going to slightly lean to Chicago here, but I don't really have a strong opinion here. The Islanders did drop from minus 205 to minus 190 on the money line. 92% of the tickets, 96% of the cash on them is what this site pregame is showing here. I think what we know is the Islanders are probably going to be a bit of a public side there. Could be a situation where you go money line on Chicago or, split the bet money line, puck line. Same thing that I said with Toronto, basically. All right, there is a Hulu doubleheader here. The first of the 2 games is Columbus at Philadelphia. Columbus coming off a win. Coming off a loss. They beat Seattle. That's what I was thinking of. But then they lost to New York, the Islanders, like I just mentioned. So they actually lost their first game of the road trip to the Islanders. That lost a 4-game win streak for them. So a lot of times when a team loses a win streak like that, they will be hung over coming into the next game. They did beat Philadelphia here in Philly back on March 14th. So there's a bit of a quick revenge angle, if you want to call it that, for Philadelphia here. Getting to host kind of an isolated TV game for Philadelphia. Columbus does have Montreal on deck. Possibly they would be looking ahead to that. Philadelphia, like I said, they might get up for a game for a game on TV, I should say. And they might be trying to win this game because their last home game, they lost to Columbus. So they might get up for this for that reason. But they're returning home from the Pacific Coast. And I don't like that. They're away for almost a week. They won every game on the Pacific Coast trip. And like I said, when teams fly back across the country, have to come back home, you got stuff to do. Having extra time off kind of also helps you settle in at home. And I think actually adds to the distraction in a lot of cases. So I don't want Philly here, man. If they weren't returning home, I would lean to Philly here. The money is saying Philadelphia here, so do with that information what you want. 84% of tickets, 64% of the cash on Columbus. They're minus 132, up from minus 125. So the market read is saying Flyers in this one. I mean, I guess I still kind of agree with that, but I don't like it, man. At least for them, it's not like the longest possible road trip return, but it's not good. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Next game up is Colorado and Pittsburgh. This is a pretty interesting game. Colorado just lost horribly at home to Pittsburgh not that long ago, 7-2. So I think they're going to be seriously focused here because they know what this Pittsburgh team just did to them. Colorado coming off an overtime win against Washington, whatever. I think they have momentum coming into this. I think they're going to be focused. For Pittsburgh, they are coming off getting blown out by Carolina. Carolina, I think, was focused because Pittsburgh almost beat them the previous time they played them. Pittsburgh will try to get up for this game, but they're running into a team that's better than they are. And if you get a focused Colorado team here, I think Colorado is going to win this game. Colorado is up to minus 160 from minus 145. Pretty big. Like, that's the odds makers telling you there's a big gap between these two teams, man. More than you might think. 81% of tickets, 97% of the cash on Colorado. It looks like the actual money is on the Avs side in that game. I also agree with it. I would lean towards Colorado there. It's getting a bit pricey for a money line, especially for a road favorite, though. So, you could maybe potentially look towards other markets. It's a very high total in this game. So, Colorado over their team total possibly makes sense. Where I don't trust Pittsburgh's goaltending, so there is that aspect of it. Don't know if I have much else to say about that. They've been alternating Skinner and Silovs, so it'll probably be Silovs in net for Pittsburgh, which is probably even worse than Skinner, so do with that information what you want. TNT, HBO Max, and True TV has one game tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with Minnesota at Tampa Bay. This is a pretty good game. Minnesota coming off an overtime win over Dallas. Big win for them. They're going to have to put in a huge effort 2 games in a row now. Now, I don't think they're going to overlook Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is really good, but they did beat Tampa Bay back on March 3rd, 5-1 in Minnesota. So Tampa Bay might be more ready for this game with Minnesota coming off a big game. Tampa Bay, though, they're returning home from a road trip, and that's the problem I have with Tampa here. They've been on the road for a week. They went up to the Pacific Northwest, and like I just said with Florida, that's not good. Tampa did lose to Calgary, so I didn't give out a play on that one, but I was correct on that game as well with Calgary there. Tampa had beaten Edmonton the game before that and already succeeded on the road trip. Now, returning back home, TV game, I don't think they're going to overlook a team that beat them so badly the last time they played them, a pretty good team in Minnesota, but again, it's really tough to return home from a road trip like this. They only have 1 day off. Traveling, basically the longest travel spot they could have. That's not easy, man. So Yeah, it's a really difficult spot for Tampa Bay. The money is coming in on Tampa. It looks like they're minus 178, 60% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on them. I kind of don't agree with it. I think I would actually slightly lean towards Minnesota there. Maybe, an underdog puck line situation in that one too. Splitting it, puck line, money line, whatever. I think the return home spot, I think, is worse than the situation that Minnesota's in that one. All right, Washington at St. Louis. Washington just lost to Colorado in overtime, I think I said. Yeah, so they're coming off a really tough game against Colorado. So you have a big game against a really good team like that. A lot of times it'll hang you over when you come that close to getting that win. They're going out on the road, and a lot of times I will say a team's going to be focused to start the road trip. But coming off a game against Colorado that ended that way, losing in overtime, I don't like it, man. So I think it could be a hangover for Washington. St. Louis is returning home from a road trip, though. Oh, man, I can't believe there's so many teams returning home from road trips, and I'm only fading one of them. St. Louis has been on the road for less than a week, but they did go up to Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver. So returning home from that, I don't think it's exactly the greatest spot. Washington coming up that tough game, though, could be worse, to be honest. I probably do actually lean to St. Louis in this one slightly. Washington down from minus 115 to minus 108, but I'm pretty much going to leave the game alone if I have a slight lean towards the team returning home from a road trip, which is rare in itself. And I think I've leaned towards two of them, and maybe that's the only one so far. But yeah, I'm going to stay away if that's the case. San Jose at Nashville. San Jose, 3 losses in a row, not having a good stretch right now, man. 4 losses in a row, my mistake. Pretty much all of them in blowouts, too. So maybe it'll be good for them to just leave home, go out on the road, couple days off, focus on hockey. I think it is a focus spot for San Jose. Try to reset some things by having a couple of days off and starting a road trip. For Nashville, they just beat their rival, like I have talked about with Chicago. They only have New Jersey on deck. I don't think that's really a big deal, but I think I would have to lean towards San Jose in this game. Let me see, where's the game? Nashville looks like they're kind of the public side, 71% of tickets, but 86% of the cash on them, although they dropped from minus 145 to minus 140 on the money line. Yeah, I would still lean to San Jose, though. That's just what I think about that game, but it's not a strong opinion, really. So the money for now is saying Nashville, though, but I don't really agree with it. New Jersey at Dallas. New Jersey coming off a loss to Washington. And they've had 3 days off since then, having to travel to Dallas, but you got to think they're going to get up for a game against Dallas, man. New Jersey probably not going to make the playoffs this year or anything like that, but this is one of those types of games that you will get up for. Dallas has played 3 big games in a row against Colorado, Minnesota, Vegas. Every one of those games coming within 1 goal. So I don't love the spot for them here, even though they're going to try to, I guess, split the homestand 1-1. But they have New York, the Islanders, on deck, which might be a bigger game because the Islanders are having a pretty good season. So I actually like the Devils in this one. Dallas is public. 95% of the tickets, of course, they are. They have one of the best records in hockey, and they are that good. 66% of the cash. There's a big cash disparity here going against Dallas. They dropped from minus 170 to minus 163. The market read is pretty strongly indicating on New Jersey, and I agree with it in that one. That would be, split bet, puck line, money line probably. Or if you want to be, you could just go money line straight, just go all money line if you really want to there. Vegas at Winnipeg. Although I don't know if I would trust that. I'd rather have the puck line portion of it in my back pocket probably. Vegas at Winnipeg. Vegas just beat Dallas, so right away I think that could put them in a letdown spot. That was a big win at Dallas. And to make matters worse, they're in a sandwich spot because they have Edmonton on deck on ESPN. So I think they could definitely overlook Winnipeg in a spot like this, even though they did just end a losing streak, and sometimes that will give you momentum. I got that Vegas-Dallas game correct, by the way, with my lean. But yeah, this one, I'd be looking towards Winnipeg. The problem is You know what the problem is. Winnipeg is returning home from a road trip. Not even a week long, though. It was only Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, but they're playing a fourth game in 6 days, all in different cities, which is not easy to do. They had to go all the way to the East Coast during the road trip, and they have Colorado on deck twice in a row, in fact, so I can't get there with it, man. I think I actually do still lean to Winnipeg in this game, but I don't think I can get there with it, so this has to be a stay away for me as well. Vegas down from minus 130 to minus 124. So the market read is on Winnipeg in this one. 80% of the tickets on Vegas, 51% of the cash on them. So a really big ticket versus cash disparity in that game too, indicating towards the Winnipeg side, which is interesting, although I do slightly agree with that one. The money's coming in towards the under there, but that's the type of game where I kind of lean towards an over because I think both teams are in bad spots. But for Winnipeg, you will get Hellebuck back in net. I think he didn't play in the last game. I think they rested him in the last game. So you will get their best goalie and probably the best goalie on the planet back in net there for Winnipeg. So that should be an advantage that Winnipeg does have in that game is the goaltending. The Kings are going to be at Calgary. I keep talking about how the Kings are pretty good on the road. They're coming off 3 straight losses. They did just lose a tough game in elevation, though, against Utah. So that might not be totally easy to overcome there, but they might show up because they are on a 3-game losing streak, and I do not like the spot for Calgary. Calgary is staying at home, but they just beat Florida and Tampa Bay in overtime against Tampa Bay at home. So Calgary could be in a letdown spot of those big games, and they're playing Anaheim next, and Anaheim is, believe it or not, winning the division right now. These teams are all in the same division, I'm pretty sure. LA, Anaheim, and Calgary, believe it or not. But LA is still ahead of Calgary in the divisional standings, of course, but Anaheim is in first place, and Calgary is not going anywhere this year. So you could make the argument they could look ahead to Anaheim, and it could be a sandwich spot. Kings, a pretty strong 18-9-9 on the road. Calgary, though, believe it or not, they're actually pretty good at home. 19-12-4 at home. Given how pretty ugly their overall record is, Calgary is definitely a better team at home. So I do slightly lean towards the Kings in that game, but I'm going to stay away from it. LA up to minus 142, 89% of the tickets, 100% of the cash is obviously not accurate. But they're probably going to be a public side, but I think LA would be the way I would lean in that one, though. The second game of the Hulu doubleheader is Edmonton at Utah. Edmonton coming off a couple really disgusting losses at home to the Florida teams. Florida and Tampa Bay both beat them handily by a combined score of 9-2. That's pretty ugly. It might be good for Edmonton to just have a couple days off, forget about that, go on the road. So I think it is a positive spot for them. I think it's a focus spot for Edmonton. Utah coming off an overtime win against LA at home. Like I said, they're just staying at home. I don't think they're going to overlook Edmonton either, so I don't think it's a horrible spot for Utah. But I'm going to lean towards Edmonton in this one. I think coming off those losses at home, getting to start the road trip is more of an advantage. Utah down from minus 135 to minus 134. Interestingly, the odds makers are basically telling you Utah is actually the slightly better team here because I think home ice is about 20 cents on the line, like minus 120. So 50% of tickets, 83% of the cash on Edmonton. So money somewhat coming in on Edmonton. Although I guess the favorite does have to be juiced a little bit more by the odds makers. But yeah, the money is saying Edmonton. I don't disagree with it. And then the last game is Anaheim at Vancouver. Not really an interesting one here, though Anaheim is better at home than they are on the road. So you might want to look towards to fading Anaheim, to be honest. They're coming off a big win over Buffalo. Buffalo's pretty good, so that was a good win for Anaheim. It was an overtime game on Sunday. Now, they're going to Vancouver. They are starting a road trip. Usually you're focused to start a road trip, but Vancouver's the worst team in the league, man. So I don't know how motivated you really get to play Vancouver. Vancouver's staying at home off a couple losses, couple of days off. They've had more time off as well, and they're staying at home. So I would actually have to lean to Vancouver in this one. Anaheim's very public, 91% of the tickets, only 88% of the cash, so less of the money on them. They're minus 178 as a favorite there. Not much movement on the line there. So, yeah, I would lean to Vancouver there. Puck line, probably partially puck line, partially money line. Wait, what? I don't get the MAGA support thing. I don't understand it. Yeah, the juice is loose. O.J. Simpson is alive and driving there. All right, NBA, before we get out of here, there are 4 NBA games. There's a late doubleheader as well, which are the 2 better games, so at least there is that. The worst game is the first game, Sacramento at Charlotte. Oh, God. Sacramento having to travel to the Eastern time zone for this, which isn't as bad as the opposite. Like I said, East Coast teams going out west for a really late night game is the worst for your biological clock. Like for Sacramento, playing at 7 p.m. Eastern, that shouldn't be a big problem. They did just beat Brooklyn. They lost at home to Charlotte back on March 11th, so there is a little bit of a quick road revenge angle here, maybe Sacramento has a little bit of momentum. Maybe they will show up focused for this to start the road trip. Charlotte is on another win streak here. 3 or 4 games, I think. 3. They've won 3 games in a row. They do have a big game on deck against the Knicks, though. So possible they overlook a team they just beat on the road not that long ago. I would lean to Sacramento here. The Hornets are a huge favorite. 78% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the Hornets. I don't agree with that cash disparity there. I would take the points with Sacramento in that one or leave the game alone. I still think maybe Charlotte's getting a little too much respect in the market here, although we have seen them blow bad teams out too. So obviously that is a possibility still here. But they could also win without covering, you know. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah, 100% of MAGA. Yeah, they interviewed one guy who's MAGA, or basically what they're saying is that everybody who still refers to themselves as MAGA just happen to be the people that still support Trump. Everybody that voted for Trump, that jumped off the Trump train, is not considered MAGA anymore. It's so stupid, dude. It's like we're living in North Korea now. I think it was just that they support Trump, I thought. I don't know. Yeah, it's all bullshit. All right, New Orleans at New York. New Orleans, they're not as bad as people think they are. They have the inverse record to the Knicks, which is funny. New Orleans has the same amount of losses that the Knicks have wins and vice versa. New Orleans coming into this off a tough game against Cleveland on Saturday, man. They played Cleveland within 5, so there is the potential that they're a little bit hungover after that. They're not going to overlook the Knicks, but you know they might run out of steam a little bit coming into this game. It's the start of a road trip against a good team, though, so maybe they will still show focus in this game with a couple of days off as well. The Knicks just blasted Washington. There is the potential they're looking ahead because they do have Charlotte, OKC, Houston all on deck. Those are difficult games, man. And that's a road trip for the Knicks there. So possible they overlook New Orleans here. It's a tough call in this game. I don't know what to do with it, to be honest. The money is coming in on the Knicks. They dropped to 8.5 from 9.5. I don't know if there's like an injury that we should be aware of here. 65% of the tickets, 98% of the cash on the Knicks. I'll probably agree with it and slightly lean to the Knicks, but I don't have a good opinion on it at all. Let me see. Injuries. Yeah, I mean, we don't really see a whole lot. McBride has already been out for the Knicks, so there isn't really any change there. So I guess that line dropped just due to legitimate market movement. Orlando at Cleveland. This is the first game of the NBC Peacock doubleheader. We faded Orlando last night, man, with success. They lost to Indiana last night. Part of that handicap was that they were going to be looking ahead to this game against Cleveland, which should mean that they will show up for this, but they got to travel from Orlando to Cleveland with no time off. But they should be in bounce-back mode as well because yesterday's game was really ugly for them. So there are positives and negatives here for Orlando. For Cleveland, they're coming up barely getting by the Pelicans, like I said. So I think they are going to be focused here. But they're returning home from a road trip. They've been on the road for a week, but at least what's good for Cleveland is they stayed right in the area. They only went to Milwaukee, Chicago, and New Orleans, so that's not really that bad. So I have a tough time reading this game, man. I don't know if it's going to be that typical return home spot where the team gets like really distracted or whatever. Cleveland's minus 10.5, 67% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. So the money is indicating on Cleveland. I'm not quite sure I agree with that. And then the other thing that we have to look at is the status of Wagner, because he was supposed to be back like around this time. It looks like they pushed that timetable back. It looks like he is not back yet, and Orlando lost Suggs due to an illness, so he's not playing tonight either. He didn't play in the previous game either, which I didn't even realize. He didn't play last night either. So that was their first game without Suggs. This is going to be their second game in a row without him. So Orlando very short-handed here, which is part of the reason why the Cavs are up there to minus 10.5. I almost kind of want to lean towards taking the points with the Magic in that one, man, even though they're very short-handed. A lot of times the team will step up their game that way, and I think the value-wise, I think there probably is some line value on Orlando. Like the line's being skewed towards Cleveland because of the guys that aren't playing for Orlando, because Orlando's on a back-to-back, but it was such a bad game for the Magic yesterday. But then again, Cleveland's coming off kind of a bad game themselves, so that's a very difficult read. And then the last game, the second of the NBC Peacock doubleheader, is Denver and Phoenix. Phoenix, another situation where they're a home underdog, man. They seem to be home underdogs a lot, and they do well as home underdogs. Denver coming into this game off of beating Portland, single-game road trip for them. Seems like a spot where they should be focused. I mean, they're not really coming off of anything big. They don't have anything big on deck with Dallas coming up next. Phoenix just ended a losing streak with a win, and a lot of times that will propel you forward with momentum. It was a blowout revenge win against Toronto, so they might be feeling pretty good about that, but still, they're not going to overlook Denver, I wouldn't imagine. We faded Phoenix the game before that where they lost to Milwaukee because Phoenix was returning home from a long road trip where they had beaten Milwaukee on the road. I've had a good gauge on Phoenix the last two games. We faded them here on the show with the Milwaukee play, and then I leaned pretty strongly towards Phoenix in the game after that, and they did bounce back and get an easy win there. This one, man, this is tough. I think I do lean to Phoenix plus the points here. Denver's minus 5.5, 86% of tickets, 85% of the cash on the Nuggets, so they're a public side with less of the money on them. I think I would lean towards taking the points of the Suns, but don't really have a strong opinion on it. The Suns are really good at home, 23-14. Denver's been good on the road, though, 23-15, but the Suns are also a covering machine. The Suns still without Dylan Brooks. He's coming back soon. Grayson Allen has been in and out of the lineup as well. So, the Suns do have some injury concerns there, but it hasn't really affected them that much. The Suns have been I think they're still the best covering team in the NBA this year. So, although that means the odds makers do have to adjust the lines on them. But it seems like whenever they're a home underdog, it seems like they pretty much cover it, though. That's going to do it. The one play I gave out is the Seattle Kraken on the money line in hockey. Huge hockey board with 15 games. We isolated that one as the play today. Bad spot for Florida. Let's do it, man. Let's have another winning day. We got to get it right to win, though. We're playing a money line underdog this time, so it's the type of game where you don't need to win every single time to profit. You know what I mean? You only need to hit probably even a little bit less than 50% of plays like that to profit on those small dogs. But that's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can subscribe to me there. Learn to Toad on Instagram. I always forget what my plugs even are. We're on audio. Listen listen and give me good reviews, whatever, on audio, Apple, Spotify, everything. We're on all the podcast platforms, I'm pretty sure. Covered in Uke, my Uke channel on YouTube, patreon.com/learntotode. You can throw me some support there. And Losercast will be back tonight. Hopefully my loser pick will spark some fun discussion. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Charles, Kyle, I think it's been just you two this morning. But, yeah, let's get it. Let's get the win. We'll be back with tomorrow. Major League Baseball opening day is tomorrow. So fire up Netflix if you want to watch it. I hate that shit, man. I hate it. That's where it's gonna be, and then I think hopefully it's just one game, but I might actually give out a play in it. Like I've thought it over in my mind, and there is a good angle to potentially use in that one. And yeah, I think that's all I had. Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, and of course the tournament, the Sweet 16 round starts in the NCAA tournament on Thursday, I believe. So Thursday night, that action resumes. So we'll be talking about that too. Don't know if I love really anything in this upcoming round though, so I might be skipping it, but we'll see. That's gonna do it though. Peace.